Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to United Stand. I'm here with my good friends and colleagues, Jordan and Kevin. And tonight, it's one of the very rare nights that I am lost for words. Where does it want to start tonight, gentlemen? We've called it these players for the last two seasons. But tonight, I think these players, we got to write them their final epitaph. Apart from David De Gea and Sancho, I can't pick up a performance tonight. I genuinely, guys, do not know where to start. We can rant, we can rave, we can shout and scream, but these players, gentlemen, they're simply not up for it. Gordon Hill, who played in the 70s, he put out a tweet that I saw, and he said that Harry Maguire isn't fit to wear the jersey. That's a warrior from the 70s to come up with that. I cannot remember a team being this bad in my living memory. Like the team that Ferguson took over in 1986, they had been on the piss since 1983, but they were still turning up against Liverpool, still getting results, still winning FA Cups. But when was the last time we saw this group of charlatans turn up against a big club like a Man City, Liverpool? And right now, gentlemen, we are, I'm going to say this, we are living on the cusp of the fumes of the past. We're becoming an all-around in more football. And we can pull apart tonight, guys, all you want. But the question is, Kevin and Jordan, where do we go from here? And can you ever remember it being this bad? The floor is yours, gentlemen.
Kev?
Jordan, help me out. No, I'll let you go first if you want. I'm certainly, yeah. I know Jay said at the start of the show, he's lost for words. If there's one thing I'm not lost for this evening is words. I've certainly got plenty to say, but if you want to take the floor first, I'll keep my powder dry, as they say.
Yeah. Look, we know we're at rock bottom, and going into the game, I think nobody expected anything from it. But still, when you actually sit through 90 minutes of that utter shit show, each minute hurts. As it gets worse. I think the team selection was completely wrong. People will say that he didn't have any choice given the injuries. I think he looked at the game, looked at the players that he's got, and just sort of wrote this game off with the hope to move on to the Arsenal game and save the players that were on the brink of being available for that game, as we got a better chance of taking some points. For me, that is not a Man United manager. It was set up wrong. We were set up to survive, but the issue is, we then conceded within the first 15 minutes, and it was a massive uphill battle. What was the plan after that? The first goal was just completely poor. Great second goal. And then what can we do? And we got a little bit lively.
Guys, sorry, I'm just saying my broke. Oh, are we live?
Yeah, we're live, Beth. Jordan, go ahead. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah. A 2-0, we were... I felt like we were starting, I'm not going to say to grow into the game, because we weren't growing into the game at all, but I felt like they'd sort of given up and it was a training session, and they were just knocking the ball around, and at any point I felt like they could score. Sancho had a couple of moments, and then they just turned it on again. I think for me, not only does Harry Maguire need to give up the armband if it's not taken from him at the end of the season, we're getting to the point where we might have to retire his shirt because it's stained from absolutely shit performances. Like, it's that bad. I wouldn't want to hoodoo anyone else to ever wear that shirt again. Now, given the great defenders that have worn that shirt in the past, I can't believe it at this point. It takes a youth player to come on and show some level of passion and pride and run round. Yeah, maybe a little bit over eager, but how difficult a moment is that to bring on a player like that? For him to run round and put his foot in and put a tackle in, that's what it takes. And again, yeah, probably a little bit too much, but I don't care. I was happy to see it. I will take 11 Hannibals on that pitch over what we see from some of those players. It's embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. Those players walked onto that pitch just looking to not lose in a convincing manner, to just sort of keep their head above water. At 2-0, they seemed happy. They weren't overly trying to score a goal. They were just happy to just coast through the game. It was only because we started to level up that Liverpool just turned the notch up a little bit. And we are where we are. This game doesn't tell us anything more than what we knew before we went into the game. We know where we're at. We know certain players are at the end of their lifespan for this club, and they have to be moved on. For me, Ten Hag, not watching that game, if they're saying they're going to give him 150 million, he needs to go back and say, given what I've just seen, we need more. And if the club don't have it, they need to find it. They're very good at finding sponsorships. They're very good at taking dividends out of the club. They need to sacrifice dividends and increase the budget, because we really, really, really need a full rebuild of this club.
Jordan, I couldn't agree with anything you said there. I think you've definitely, with that statement, taken the temperature of the fan base, and definitely mirrors from what I've been looking at on Twitter all night. Because I'll be honest with you, normally I'm the one sitting down, taking notes and being methodical. But tonight, guys, I would not waste the ink on my pen on those players. Honestly, I wouldn't. Like often we come on these shows and we went through the stages of grief. I think we got to acceptance a long time ago. And I don't know about you, Kevin, but I'm at the stage now where I don't care anymore. I'm on the show tonight. I kept watching the game because I knew it was coming on the show. What's coming on the show, Kevin? I turned off. I've lost interest, mate. I don't know about you, but how do you feel?
Listen, coming into this game, I said it's a bit of a free hit, and I know it's Liverpool, but what can you do about it? In terms of an analogy, I can't really even think. It's like being glued to the road or something, and a Ferrari's coming towards you. There's nothing you can do of getting out the way of it. I didn't speak to any United fan who said Manchester United were going to win this evening. Not a single United fan who said that we might even take a point from this. We all knew what was going to happen. The thing that gets me, and I know you say you passed the point of caring, and that is, I can't accept a performance like that at Anfield where there is no passion. And Jordan rightly says you've got a young lad who comes on for 5 minutes there, shows more running, more passion, more pride, more anything than anybody else on that field. And doesn't that tell you all? After the Everton game, a few people said I was got a bit giddy, play the under-23s, play the kids till the end of the season. At least we still probably would have got beat this evening by Liverpool. We would have. But you've got under-23s, lads at Manchester United who want to play for the club. How many players are on that pitch tonight who we know are not going to be at Manchester United? Do not want to wear that shirt. The likes of Pogba, who goes off injured, Jesse Lingard, who's on that pitch, Rashford, don't know what's up with him, and Harry Maguire. I mean, one of my most famous lines on this is whenever I mention Harry Maguire, do not get me started on Harry Maguire, but let's get started on him. This is a guy in the build-up to this game who's come out with comments like, oh, I'm doing all right, me. Are you? Yeah. The previous two managers have played me. Why have they played you? Do you know what I mean? If it had cost 80 grand from Stockport County, he'd be nowhere near this team. Nowhere near it. They probably would have released him. To save face, Manchester United made the monumental fuck up of spending 80 million on Harry Maguire. And that is why, from the top, somebody is in the last two managers' ears, that's Rangnick included, where something's being said that this guy cost 80 million and he has to play. I'm not putting it all down to him, but he's supposed to be the captain of this team. And yet what? We draft Phil Jones back in at the team today. Felt sorry for him. What's he doing near that team? Yeah. Or is it because he's the only guy that's got the passion vibes, can actually go in there, who knows what it's like to play for United? Poor lad's going in against one of the best teams we've ever seen in Liverpool. Totally overrun after half an hour. Doesn't know what he's up to, what his position is. And we're trying, a flat back six, more or less, because it was damaged limitations. And like Jordan said again, after 4 minutes, one pass totally exposes that back kind of six, which it was. Matic sitting in front of that. And the thing I cannot take, it's Liverpool. It's Liverpool. And you see the likes of Roy Keane after that on Sky, and everything he says strikes a note, because he said that when he played in teams in the past, and I understand this team isn't as talented as the one we've got. In fact, I should never have mentioned him in the same sentence. But he did say that past teams, Manchester United, have competed at Anfield. And that means flying into challenges, doing whatever, tactical fouls, some kind of game plan. This evening, It's embarrassing. We've been embarrassed once this season at Old Trafford. That was tough to take. This evening, we knew what was going to happen, but it's just not acceptable. And so many of these players, like what was the video title sell a lot of them. I said this weeks ago. This is the point I'm at now. Is I'm not asked. I really could not. I've never been so disconnected from a group of Manchester United players. I couldn't care less what they do or where they go this summer, as long as we start getting players in at this club who want to play for Manchester United. What did David Gill say in 2004? Debt is the road to ruin. We've been on the road to ruin for a long, long time, from top to bottom. It's scary, man.
Kevin, obviously, I do speak with a bias towards Roy Keane. He's my favorite. He's my countryman and whatnot. But himself and Souness summed it very well. They said that United had 2 tackles completed in the first half, and Souness then interjected and he said, "If that was us in the pitch, we probably would have had 12 each by now." Mm-hmm. And then, to your point, Jordan, you said about Hannibal came on. That young lad showed more determination in that short cameo than what the other 10 outfield players did in the entire game. Like, early doors, go in and kick somebody, go in hard and smash somebody. The referee isn't going to book you. He's not going to send you off. But instead, we're backing off 5 yards on those Liverpool players. But for me tonight, it looked at points that there was 2 balls in the pitch. And Liverpool players, their movement, their teamwork, it was so fluid. It was like they had 2 footballs. It was Milligan's boys tonight. So,
yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
What could Ralph have done differently, do you think? Or is it the fact that it's just not in the players? You're just not good enough, or you just don't care?
I mean, I feel like both are to blame, but the majority of the blame has to go on the players. I mean, it's one thing to get beat because, to beat this Liverpool team in the way that they are at the moment and the way that they've been building for years is a hard task for any team. They were a very good team, hold my hands up, a great team managed by a great manager. It pains me to say it, but it's the way you get beat. And we saw an example of the players that have been doing it all season, and to not even go out there and show a bit of passion and show a bit of fight at Anfield, trying to stop them in a quadruple, it did take me back a bit. I thought at least tonight we'd maybe get something. But again, even Bruno, who I thought, I've seen this guy passionate in games. I've seen him overly passionate. I've seen him aggressive. Tonight, jogging. And he was non-existent in the midfield. And I thought anyone who claimed to be a leader in that team, and there's not many, completely went quiet. There was no leadership at all on the pitch. And I thought the way that they'd been set up was we just couldn't deal with it. I mean, their right-hand side with Henderson, Salah and Trent all interchanging, we were absolutely lost. And then the back 3 as well, not a yard of pace in either of them. All 3 of them didn't know how to play in a back 3. That was evident from the first goal when it was embarrassing. It was worse than Sunday League defending. And then you've got Phil Jones, who 5 minutes later, when the goal goes in, you put the camera on him and he looks like he's just run a marathon. He's that out of breath. Like, that's what we've been forced to do. Playing Eric Bailly, who we know is fit. And Yerry might be leaving at the end of the season. So's Pogba, so's Lingard. You've started them. At least he's got a yard of pace in him. So that, for me, was at fault by the management. How he's not starting on that left-hand side. I feel like we could have done with his pace tonight. He could have dropped in. Because the amount of times they got him behind due to Maguire being completely out of the game. I mean, he's captain Manchester United, and you don't want to constantly go back to him, but it's hard not to when every single game he's making these mistakes. Time after time, 3 of the goals tonight, he's caught in no man's land. He doesn't know where people are on the football pitch. Yeah. How can you be a defender and a captain and not know where your players are? That Mane one was horrendous. The way he just dropped off him and then let him breeze past. You look at Van Dijk and Matip at the back, and then you look at our centre-backs, and it is night and day. And you know what? Yes, they are poor in quality, but it's a lack of concentration, a lack of effort by most part of it, because that is way off. You could have sent Norwich there tonight to Anfield, and I feel like they would have put up a better fight. It's not about quality here. It's about listening to your manager and putting some effort in. And like we said, that when Hannibal came on and he put them challenges in, I was on the same page as most of us were. I was glad that was happening, and I wouldn't have stepped in and told him to stop it, because I thought it was good to see one player show a bit of fight, and it made me think, that's it. The rest of the season, you've had your chance all year now. You've gifted Liverpool another 4 goals, could have been a lot more. And, I would play the kids now for the rest of the season. I thought it was an absolute embarrassment. Sancho also looked like he wanted to play when he came on. Don't know why he didn't start over Rashford. I mean, I know Rashford's got pace, but you saw his first touch and he was for an own goal. It's horrendous. What's the point? He's not going to score. So it's disappointing. It is very disappointing.
Look, I looked at that back five. It looked like Stonehenge, didn't it? Stiff, zero pace, no emotion. I don't know why he decided to pick Jones over Bailly. Like, Jones was literally more of the same of what we already had. Bailly was obviously a different option, and he decided not to go with him because he said he was a talker. The game plan went out the window after 5 minutes.
It's horrible.
Jordan, on that, I think in defence of Phil Jones, Phil Jones, to his credit, hadn't played a competitive game in almost 2 years. He was mad a match against Wolves. Hasn't played since. I did see when the camera went to him, he was out on his feet because he was putting there, but he hadn't played. And you can train twice a day, every day for 3 months, but it's match fitness. And had Phil Jones been playing instead of Maguire since that Wolves game, we should have been playing instead of Maguire, then I don't think we were leaking as many goals. And to the point about Eric Bailly, yeah, when you're playing against that right side that can interchange, stick a player with pace if you're playing a back three. But then Ralph said himself in the pre-match press conference that he played that back three in training and it was okay. But again, you do one training session playing a back three, doesn't mean it's going to mirror in a game.
Yeah, but again, this comes down to the manager, because all of those defenders have been underused going into a game this big. There's been games where, Maguire shouldn't have played, and we should have seen Jones, or we should have seen Bailly while Bailly's been fit. You're the one who said it. Play him till he breaks. Well, he's being fit. You see him in the winning team pictures, and his birthday. All the players were posting about him. He clearly is popular in the dressing room. Hasn't been able to kick a ball.
So people in the chat are saying that Beth thought it was going to be a draw. Never ever said that. I actually predicted 4-1, which was optimistic at best, because I actually thought we'd score a goal. So that's actually just wanted to point that out to make it clear to everyone. I'm not that delusional. Yeah,
to be fair, you did. I was saying 3-1 because I thought we might have scammed a penalty off Bruno. Again, to the point that you made about Rashford, a person tweeted me during the game about Rashford, guys, and I promised I'll read it out because it's a banger. He says, Rashford breathing like a donkey that's after carting 40 yards of turf out of the bog and yet done F all, and the turf is still in the bog. So why the hell is Rashford today starting up front? Beth, you said it yourself, he wasn't going to score. What's got this season? 2 goals. So we've lost any confidence in Rashford to even score anymore. We've questioned on the show for the last 18 months his work rate, but we gave him a get-out free card because he's carrying an injury. But yet, his decision-making has been abysmal. So why is he starting up top tonight? I just didn't get it. So we've had a manager in Solskjaer that played favourites. And now I think as a group, we wrongly gave Radnick too much credit because it's no different. The performances are worse because the players rebelled, as we know, when he first came in. They didn't like the hard training methods. And the players, and Roy Keane said it years ago about these players, they'll throw Mourinho under the bus and every other manager under the bus. And that's what's happening. These players have thrown, I know he's critical manager, but they've thrown yet another manager under the bus to turn up against your historic biggest rivals and not put an effort in. It's embarrassing. And a phrase I've said in the show, guys, many times is show some professional pride. These players, they've got no pride in the jersey. And I would go as far as say they have no respect for the fans to perform like that.
Well, like you said, on the point of Rashford, when I put my predicted 11, or not predicting my preferred 11 out, I had Sancho and Alanga starting as the front two, and a lot of people were replying saying no Rashford, very confused. Rashford has been played terribly since I can remember, and I used to be a big fan of Rashford, but what's the point of playing a player that he's not going to score goals? He might have the pace to get into behind, but you saw exactly what happened when he got that great opportunity and his first touch let him down massively. You saw what happened when he had that opportunity in front of goal and he just kicked it straight at Alisson. He's just not on form, and out of everyone in the team, genuinely, I think you could have put Garnacho up front. Would have had a better chance of someone scoring a goal because he's got more confidence and he's playing for and he's on the rise. Marcus Rashford is a player that his confidence is shot to pieces. It wasn't the right decision to play him tonight. It really wasn't, especially as a starting striker. And I know people say he's the only striker we've got available, and a lot of shame has to come down to a player that I've rated a lot, which is Edison Cavani, which he's been injured for all this time. He's not been injured for all this time. He just doesn't want to play. He don't want to take his reputation, and he just wants to make sure he's fit for his next club. And that for me is just, no matter what he's done on the pitch, which every time he has been on the pitch, he's looked like he wanted to win. I don't respect that. I don't respect it at all, and it shows a lack of care for the club. It really does, and the fans.
Do you know? I was thinking about at halftime, guys, and let me know what you think about this. I remember when we played Arsenal, and it was when they were the Invincibles, and we beat them. Yeah, we broke that record of all the games they'd gone on and beaten. And there was Arsenal teams when we were both challenging for the title. We were the two best teams in the league, and there was times where they were a better team than us. They played better football than us, but we had a bit more about us. We had a bit more dog about us, and over the course of a season, we were able to win titles. But when we came up against Arsenal sides that were better than us, I remember the game where the Neville brothers literally beat up Reyes for 65 minutes before he got dragged off. Yeah. And we were able to just stick it on them a bit and make it difficult for them. We didn't make it difficult for Liverpool today. They absolutely toyed with us. They mugged us off. At any point, they could have just completely annihilated us. You know what? It was 9-0 across 2 games. If they turned the gas up today, they could have beat us 9-0 today.
And that back then,
yeah,
Jordan,
I like that comment. Go ahead, Kevin.
Sorry, I was just going to say that back then, it comes down to players who wanted to play for Manchester United. The likes of the Nevilles were not the best footballers technically in the world. John O'Shea, Wes Brown, Nicky Butt, any of these players, but they would have run through brick walls, literally. I know it's an old saying in football. They'd have done anything for Sir Alex Ferguson. There was respect, everything. And at half-time today, I'm thinking, what would Rangnick do here? What's his team talk going to be to these players? And in my head, I'm thinking, do you know what I would have done? I would have gone, opened the door. They probably sat there having a brew and all that. And I'd have said, do you know what, lads? You suss this one out between yourselves. I wouldn't give you any instruction. I'd say, you're getting beat at Anfield. You lot have ruled the roost far too long at this club. You've got a new manager coming in. I'll be letting him know everything about you lot. But you go out there and between yourselves, if you think you know better than me, then you go out there and sort it out between yourselves and see how you get on. See you later. I would have just gone and left it to them. Too many of these players think they know better. They are prima donnas. However they've been coached the last 3 years, they've had it easy. And that's exactly what's going on now. They don't like being coached properly. They're probably being asked to do extra training sessions. They need it. How many players out there are dead on the feet? They weren't even running, not even running at one stage. And I don't subscribe to this theory that after half-time we had a great 10 minutes. I think that was just Liverpool got a little bit complacent. Yeah. Yes, Jadon Sancho made a difference today because he was literally the only one that picked up the ball and run at him. And that did help to an extent. But look what they did after that sort of 10 minutes, this brilliant 10 minutes that United had, literally went up the other end. And with the first shot of the second half, they scored. They're clinical. They're switched on. They are in a different league to Manchester United. And it does come down to how the clubs have been run. Their business has been great and Manchester United has been absolutely abysmal.
Well,
yeah, that narrative about the 10 minutes has been brilliant. That's absolute another bullshit. United had an XG tonight of 0.1, 2 shots, 1 on target. I think 78% pass completion, and any pundit or fan that puts out that bullshit for 10 minutes needs to go watch another sport. That's a cop out.
Well, we didn't have a good 10 minutes. All we did is not get absolutely battered in our final third. We passed it around on the edge of their box for a bit. We didn't really create anything. I mean, the players couldn't pass the ball. That was the worrying thing to me. A few weeks ago now, we were struggling to score goals. Felt like no one could put it in the back of the net. And I was like, God, Ralph needs to do a few training sessions on how to shoot a football. After today, they need to know have to do a few training sessions on how to run and pass a ball. I mean, the reason barely any of them could pass it is because no one wanted to run into space. It's the basics of football. Run into space, receive the ball. Run into space, receive the ball. Make the runs. Everyone stood there like a statue getting marked up. And then it leads our back line into making shaky decisions at the back regarding to passing. And an example of it was that pass from Harry Maguire on the 4th goal, where he passes it out. It's a hospital ball, really, over to Hannibal. And yeah, he gets dispossessed and they come on to us and they score. But that is what it leads to when you don't run around and pick up the ball and get into space. It's simple facts, and Liverpool did that so well today as well. I mean, Thiago was unbelievable at finding the runs. It's like Rashford, for example. He's on more money than Diaz, Salah, and Mane, all their wages. This is where Manchester United have got it wrong over the years. They're giving players that haven't proved it full, like Rashford. He's been a good player for us in the past, but he's not a 250 grand a week player. Why are we giving out these contracts? It comes from the top, a lot of it as well.
He's a 250 grand person. That's what it is, and profile. And this is what we keep doing. The same mistake. Look at a social media presence and reach, and signing players and extending contracts based on that. It's an absolute shambles, and it needs an utter reset, top to bottom. And the only hope is we've got 7 games left. We can try and salvage the season by finishing in some form of European position, and Ten Hag comes in and just clears this shit out and starts again. Excuse my language.
No, not at all, Jordan. You're perfectly correct. Like we got 6-7 games left, and we are 22 points adrift of Liverpool 2 days after Easter Monday. Let that sit with you. Like back in the day, and people are going to say now in the chat, JL's going with the pass. Back in the day, we would have the league wrapped up at this stage and focusing on Champions League. Just the standards of this club, these players, guys. But you were at a point there, but the basics of football: pass and move, find space, be in space. The players aren't running because they simply don't have. I'm going to repeat myself: pride in the jersey and respect for the fans to even do their jobs. They're not doing their jobs, and if any one of us repeatedly didn't do our jobs in our daily lives, we would get the sack. But these players live in gilded cages, fat contracts, on obscene money, the kind of money that everybody watching the show can only dream of, and unless you win the lottery, you'll probably never get your hands on. But these players, they've overpaid, they've had it too easy for far too long, and that's just the legacy of the Woodward regime. And look, we know we're not a football club. The term Disneyland FC has been used, social media FC has been used, but the new manager coming in, and I've said it many times, how much power will the new manager be given? And would he be allowed to yield that power? Because we're not going to get 11 players in, 11 players out. He's still going to be left with Maguire's, Wan-Bissaka's, Bruno's still going to be there, petulant as ever. Obviously, there's a massive player in Elanga, there's a player in Sancho. David's going to stay. But we don't even have, guys, the nucleus of a top 4 side right now before the manager comes in. And we're not going to spend 400 or 500 million euros in the off season. It's not going to happen. So we can't expect miracles, guys. That's my point.
Well, I was saying this before. Like, let's not underestimate how much progress can be made into one transfer window. If he brings in four players, that's the spine of the team, and can get some life out of the youth. You look at Hannibal today. Hannibal, Elanga. There's other talent in the youth. I get that should be given an opportunity. plus he can help raise a couple of other players' games. Suddenly, it's just a whole attitude adjustment. Look, I've seen it in my club. A few weeks ago, the morale was really down, staff working late nights and whatnot. You have a team meeting, you find out each individual's problems, what's bothering them. And 90% of what bothers people is where people get promised things that then don't get delivered. Ollie's sitting down, promising someone like Eric Bailly a certain amount of game time, they're not getting it. He then has a negative attitude, and that knocks on to the next player. Lingard, don't go to West Ham, stay here, you'll get games. Ollie, again, promising things that then didn't happen. It then just sets a bad tone amongst everybody else. And you have a just whole negativity. Ten Hag comes in, puts his arm on the right players, and tells them they've got a future, but then also honest to the players that haven't got a future and moves them on. Suddenly the whole atmosphere changes in that dressing room over the summer.
Jordan, that's an excellent point and very, very, very well made. But do you think, just run some numbers here, just pick three players: Martial, 50 mil, Wan-Bissaka, 50 mil, Maguire, 80 mil. Do you think he's going to be allowed cull 180 million euros, sorry, pounds, I should say, of investment that can be sold, the three of them? I reckon now those three lads, you'll be lucky if you've got 70 million for the three of them. So on that rationale, do you think the Glazers will take 110 million hit? Just an example. I don't think they will. As much as I want to, Jordan, I don't think they will.
Well, I agree with you to a certain extent, but this is part of him taking the job and certain conditions he's put in, whether or not, he thinks they're right or not, they've got to be moved on. Ultimately, they're not his signings, so he shouldn't be judged by them. And certain players have been here for multiple managers, and it hasn't worked for any of them. And in order for him to be able to reduce the wage bill and bring players in that are going to make a difference, he has to be allowed to move them on. And it's better that we sell them now and get something for them than hold on to them for another 12, 18 months. They're further into their contract and they end up walking away for free. We've made that mistake with so many other players that are about to walk out the door for free this summer.
Beth and Kevin, to Jordan's point, do you think the Glazers, as the business model, that they would be prepared to take a hit on the players that they've overpaid for? They're on long contracts, pardon me. Do you think they would take a hit for the betterment of the club? That goes to either of you.
They're going to have to, right? The thing I've said is, if United are going to appoint Ten Hag, I've said the main thing they need to give him is total control at this club. And that is overseeing everything. Jurgen Klopp, in his first season at Liverpool, finished 8th, right? Pep Guardiola didn't win the league at Manchester City in his first season at the club. You need time to build something at these clubs, and both them clubs have well overtaken Manchester United now. If Ten Hag is given false promise now that when he takes over at United, he'll be able to sell whoever he wants. Yes, he'll get some money to invest in the squad, and then he isn't. What's the point? What is the point getting Ten Hag to Manchester United if you're going to give him false promises? Is it exactly what's happened in previous regimes? They probably got it a bit easier under Solskjaer, who was probably a bit of a yes man from what we've seen. But don't ruin this now. I mean, if Ten Hag rocks up at Manchester United and he's the hold up on this contract and signing it has been that he wants control at Manchester United, you can't give the guy a false promise. He's coming to Manchester United to do a job. He's probably seen where past managers have failed at Manchester United. And we know that deep down, it's been decisions from the likes of Ed Woodward, who's got all giddy and gone, I can get you Paul Pogba. I never believed Mourinho wanted Paul Pogba, never seen him as a Mourinho player. And lo and behold, there was certain spats there that played out in the media, wasn't there? He left Pogba out, stripped him in the captaincy. There's been other players, the likes of Di Maria, who wanted to go to PSG, but because of financial fair play, he couldn't go. So he come to us for a bit of a season and then went to PSG. That is mismanagement. That's from above. That was Ed Woodward on a power trip saying, I can get you this. I can get you Falcao. He's not fully fit. It's a major risk, but I can get you him. And managers have never actually seemed to get the players that they want. And the best one, you hear Charlie Austin talking about Virgil van Dijk, saying, were Manchester United interested in you? And he said, they did make contact with my representative, but they decided to go for Victor Lindelof. I'm like, how do you even come to that conclusion? And it'll be to do with money. But then, we go and spend a similar amount on Harry Maguire a bit after, because they probably thought Virgil van Dijk's done brilliant at Liverpool here. Let's go for this. You know, he's a big lad like Virgil van Dijk. Yeah, well, I know who I prefer, and it's not old slabhead anyway.
Beth, for me, this season has proven that the club, we know it's been very badly managed, very badly run from a football perspective, but it was run very well from business perspective. So right now, Beth, for me, this club is on the precipice of a cliff. We could be fighting for top four and winning trophies within 3 years if Ten Hag is given the full backing and allowed to yield power. Or we're in danger of going through the same 30-year title drought that Liverpool went through. Do you honestly believe Ten Hag will be given a free rein for his signings and for who he wants in, who he wants out going forward? Do you think that's going to happen for you?
On the basis of what's happened over the last 10 years, you'd say no, wouldn't you? Because that's just never happened. But the actual appointment of Ten Hag makes me believe, hopefully, I've got to keep believing if you want to have any hope, is that he is going to get that power and he is going to get that reign, because it's different to what we've done before. Moyes wasn't the right man. Ferguson wanted him to take over because of different reasons, but he wasn't the right step up at the time. We should have gone for Mourinho. Louis van Gaal past his prime. Mourinho past his prime. Ollie hadn't had the experience. And now we've actually appointed a manager coming up into his prime and who has stated, and this is why it's taken so long for the contract to actually happen, that he wants free reign and he definitely wants full control of the transfer window this season. Something that frustrates me is the fact that Rangnick's clearly been palmed off over his time at Manchester United. He wasn't listened to in the January transfer market, and I doubt he's been listened to over the course of the season. When you look at his team selections each week, you look at the way he plays football, and you look at what he's saying in the media, it looks like he's got to the end of his tether this week with what he's been saying, actually. Basically saying, coming out and giving himself a little bit of credit due to how good Liverpool's team is, saying that they've got 4 or 5 players that he brought through when no one knew who they were. Basically, that to me was him saying, let me do this at your club because I know what I'm doing. Because obviously he's not had that backing yet. And he said that every area of the pitch needs improvement apart from the goalkeeper, which I completely agree with again. And other managers in the past wouldn't have said that. They would have protected the squad. But Ralph Rangnick isn't protecting the squad anymore. He doesn't have to deal with them from a managerial point of view after the end of this season. But what the Manchester United do need to do is give some power to the guy that is actually speaking sense. He might not have done very well from a coaching aspect. I mean, for me, he's probably had an arm tied behind his back in that aspect as well. But he knows what he's talking about when it comes to rebuilding a football club, when it comes to appointing a manager, and when it comes to transfers. And we're not going to be able to attract the big stars this summer because we're not going to be in the Champions League. We need someone like Ralph that has an eye for talent and has an eye for bringing people through, who Ten Hag can coach. Ten Hag is renowned to be a very, very good coach. He's a coaching style manager. Let Ralph and Ten Hag, the footballing people, work together to rebuild this football club. That's the only hope we have, realistically. If we keep going the way we've gone, it's just going to get worse and worse. And I just hope people that have the head switched on at the football club realise that you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and again and expecting different results. We've got to put some faith in the people that we've appointed, and they've got to completely back him in the summer and pass that as well, because it's not going to be an overnight job. All of that team worries me, all of it. We need a lot of transfers, and we need a few windows to do it, I think.
Just on that point, just with Ralph, what you just said then about the type of stuff that he's coming out and saying, I actually agree with you. And I feel like, you know, he's speaking as though like he isn't going to be around in the summer, and he's just saying it like it is because the board wouldn't like that. Why would he stick around? They've mugged him off in that January transfer window. They haven't backed him. They haven't supported him. They've brought him in to just steady the ship until a new manager comes in. Why is he going to hang around? What for? For shits and giggles. No one's listening to him. He's got Fletcher in his ear. Like, I'd jump on the first EasyJet flight back to Germany and just get my head down out there and crack on with what he was doing anyway. Why stick around? I don't blame him.
I agree.
Kevin, based on what you've seen thus far with Ralph, if you were Ralph, would you stick around?
I would have walked at half time today. That's exactly what I'm saying to you. I would have gone into them players and said, use a lot I've ruled the roost there. You think you know better than me. You're not listening to me. You go out, and if you want to play for the fans, do whatever. You sort it out between yourselves. And I would have done exactly the first thing. Breaking news, Sky Sports, Ralph Rangnick Kevin Ashford walks out of Anfield. That's what I would have done. I still don't even think they would have reacted to that anyway. I don't think it would have made any difference at all. Because if the team is not listening to the manager, it doesn't mean anything, does it? So I would have left him in it. And I certainly would be at the point now, like Beth's just rightly said, where he's starting to show a bit of a chink in his armour. Well, say chink in his armour. All he's doing is speaking the truth. And it's nice to hear, because under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, everything was rosy in the garden and that, when probably in theory it wasn't. Whereas now you've got Rangnick. He's had well enough time to assess all these players. How many characters have I got? How many leaders have I got? Absolute none. Have I got a spine to this team? No, I haven't. There's absolutely no backbone, no spine. It needs ripping up and starting again. Absolutely. Knock down the building and just start rebuilding again.
Why would the players listen to Rangnick when he's clearly publicly being undermined by the board? The players are looking at him and he's a joke. He's a joke. There's things he's openly asked for, said in the media, things that have been leaked, players that he's been linked to that have moved on to other clubs, players that he said he was happy to let go that have ended up staying. You can understand why these players are looking at him like, shut up, I'll just do what I want to do. Like it all starts from the top and it comes down. So why would he stay? He's not the kind of person that's just going to stay for a paycheck. He can go elsewhere and get paid. I'd be out here in the summer.
The last couple of press conferences by Ralph, for me, it reminds me very much of the summer 2018 when United were on the preseason tour in America. And I don't know who United were playing, but Josie came out after one of the games and he said, and I can't do his accent very well, but he said, I wouldn't pay to watch that. We were terrible. And and then from then on, every press conference, Josie was just, telling it like it was. And, sooner or later, it was going to come to a head. And he started playing Fellaini instead of Pogba, just as one of you said, for shits and giggles. So I think Ralph now is showing that, these players, that this is not what I anticipate these players would be, based on their talent, so-called talent, and also based on what they're getting paid. And now he is calling them out. And agreed, the board and the Glazers, they won't like that. So I think if he goes upstairs, it'll be a token appointment. What is it, 6 hours a month or whatever? It's real tokenism. So no, he won't be listened to. And yeah, I agree. If I was him, I'd walk. But I love Kevin's thoughts there that at half time, tell the players, listen, lads, if you think every one of you is a really big bollocks, we'll go out now in the second half and show up here. I think that was a very, very good point.
Jay, 6 hours a month. How much change can you implement in 6 hours a month? My screen time per day is more than 6 hours. It's a shambles, mate. It's a shambles.
Yeah, it is. As I said, it's a token appointment that they have to honour the contract that they gave him. But it's tokenism. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less.
I was just going to say, Ralph is the person. He's not took the team by storm, but he's inherited absolute crap since he's come in. But he's the person in that football club, since I can last remember, that he's spoken the most sense about football and about the state that the club is in. He's the only person that's spoken any sense about it. And in how long? I can't even remember. So to actually demote a person that has shown the most intel around football, around the club, is just it just sums Manchester United up. And if they want to get anywhere this summer, Ten Hag can't do it on his own. Ralph Rangnick should be there in the centre of it, talking about transfers and relaying that to the board and telling them who they should be going scouting, who they should be going getting, and telling them how to improve the scouting network, because it's a load of crap the way that we've gone about scouting players over the last 10 years. Honestly, it infuriates me, because he's the only one that's come in, spoken some sense, and now suddenly he's going down to 6 hours a month. It's a joke.
Yeah, it is, but it's just indicative of the way the club is run, that any manager that is truculent in the media and speaks out, it doesn't meet with the squeaky clean narrative that the board and the Gears have to portray to the media. Obviously Moyes was going to do what he was told, because he was like a deer in the headlights, happy to get the job. Ole, don't get me started. He was just literally, he was like the lad that comes on work experience and he's shadowing the big boss, and he just do what he's told. Because I've come from my job as well, just do what they're told, lads. They're not going to the employees. That's the way it is. Just do what they're told. That was Ole. And like Ralph, I think he's saying in these press conferences a lot of what we've been saying on these shows the last couple of years. Because he's come in, fresh pair of eyes. He's got that helicopter approach, and he's calling a spade, and the players don't like it. The board clearly don't like it, because, as we pointed out, his role is being just diminished all the time. Look, guys, I know fans are expecting us to come on here tonight and rant and go wild and lose our demeanor, but that's not going to happen. We've been through this too many times, and it's nice to come on and we have a very relaxed and chase discussion without losing it. So this was good to do. Mm-hmm. So Jordan, any final thoughts before we go to bed?
No, I just, like I said at the beginning, like you said, I think people coming on expecting us to start screaming and throwing cups and football boots and stuff. But the game didn't tell us anything that we didn't know before the game. We knew what we know where our team's at. We're very realistic about how bad we are and where we are, in our history of the club and the job that's ahead of us in the summer. So it hasn't told us anything. But does it still hurt? Yeah, it hurts, guys. It really still hurts.
Yeah.
Kevin Ashford, still hurts, mate.
It does. I will just say, it's not something we've mentioned, but I'll say just final thoughts. Obviously, with Cristiano Ronaldo and his missus, I just wanted to say as well, as much as I dislike Liverpool as a club and that, on the 7th minute this evening, I thought it was a very nice touch that the Liverpool fans took part in, obviously, moments of applause for Cristiano Ronaldo and his missus.
Yeah, it was beautiful to see. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it was lovely. And they even started chanting halfway through, "Never walk alone." So look, football is football, family is family. And yeah, Liverpool fans tonight, they show the respect, and just hats off to them. Beth, final word to you.
Yeah, just to go back onto Kevin's point, obviously condolences to Ronaldo and his family and Georgina and everything, because it is obviously a horrible thing to happen, and respect to Liverpool fans, which we've already said. And another thing I'd like to say is this is the first time I've ever fought as a United fan, but I cannot wait for the season to be over. And that's what these Manchester United players have drove us to. We actually don't get excited for the games. And I've had games before where we've not been great, but when the game's been on, I've been getting annoyed. I've been getting angry. I've been getting frustrated. Today, I just thought it's expected. It infuriates me, but I'm just calm about it because it's what it's expected. So hopefully we get this rebuild that we all want in the summer. But yeah.
Guys, it's almost 11:30 at night in UK and Ireland. I want to thank Jordan, Beth and Kevin for taking the time to come on the show. It wasn't easy for any of us, but most of all, I want to thank you for watching. You're watching all over the world at probably 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning after another loss. But look, we are a community. We're all in this together. And sooner or later, the tide will turn and we will get back to the top. So we wish you all good night. We'll see you all soon.